little bit of an introduction. Okay. Originally for my first video, I wanted to do a how my first 3 weeks of college went type of video, but I didn't have the energy and time to make that video, and also I just didn't take the steps within filming or scripting or editing to really get that video out there. That, and it's like almost halfway through the semester now. Things like schoolwork and feeling overly occupied and drained were kicking my ass to the max, and I didn't and still don't know how to handle it. My time management skills, for lack of a better word, freaking sucks. Coming into college straight out of high school has probably been one of the worst ideas I made in my life. Do I regret it? No, but I feel like I probably should have taken like a year off of school just to clear my mind about schooling before I came to college. I mean, it would have been the first year of my life that I had without schooling, or in the first year of my life I could be free just to do whatever I want without worrying about when the next assignment is due, or is my grades good enough, or being forced to be paired up with other people to work on some pointless ass English assignment. But doing that would just result in me getting criticized by my family, mainly my mom, or in my opinion a large portion of society. Well, generally speaking, a common problem with Americans today, and I get this from a college classmate in my public speaking class named Mark, who said something along the lines of, Americans have a one-track mind when it comes to college. That's paraphrased, by the way. I don't remember what he fully said, but I remember it was along the lines of that. And it's crazy because I could recall a lot of times where I've seen things online that branches off that very statement. Maybe it's a clip of some older guy who talks about how we as kids have been in the school system all of our life, and asking us what we want to do after school is with the expectation that we're supposed to know is pretty normalized. But in reality, we don't even know what we want to do. The guy even encourages that we should take a break instead of going straight into college right after high school. It's okay to do that. Most people feel like it's not. And from there comes the one-track mind system. Mark's statement, at least to me, aligns more with that. Americans have a more fucked mindset reasoning for doing things like going to college straight out of high school. Whether it may be because everyone else is going instead of taking that break, or going because a higher power in your life, like your mom or dad, wants you to go. Or maybe you believe that you won't be anything without college, like most people do. Or maybe you just did it because you wanted to, which doesn't really fall under fucked mindset reasoning, but hopefully you get the point. Whatever your reasoning may be, there's no going back now. And Mark, if you're seeing this, sorry if I took your wording in the not so intended way. That's just how I perceived it. School so far has been stressful. I genuinely thought it was just going to be a higher level of high school, but damn, was I wrong. First off, the teachers don't teach you shit, and that's like hard as it is because you're expected to just know everything right off the bat, which is reasonable, but to others maybe not so much. I was brought up in the more smaller classes, the special ed classes, if you will, for like literally my whole life. Admitting to that doesn't hurt, but to other people, I know their pride would be shattered if they ever admit they were in special ed classes, when in reality it's not that bad. Especially when you're in a friend group and you're like the only friend who has those type of classes, which for you is more embarrassing to admit. But I realized that mainly nobody really cares more than yourself in certain situations like that. It's just the thought that it would determine your whole character to others that makes you so anxious. Or the thought that the kids in those classes are stupid, when in reality they're probably smarter, or at least on the same education level as you are. And by the way, I'm not talking about straight on special ed classes for like people with learning disabilities or with people who just can't learn. I'm talking about pull-out classes, just like smaller classes, if that makes sense. I'm not going to go in depth about special need classes because, well, one, I have little experience in those types of classes, and two, people can't have opinions anymore in today's society, which is a topic I'm going to be talking about in its own separate video. With that background of education and everything being more simplified, everything in college just seems hard as hell. It's understandable and doable, but still hard as hell. Things like presentations, studying, loneliness, no friends, waking up to 3 hours of sleep, being mentally drained all the time, and then having that shit on wash, rinse, repeat every day since you've been in college is just fucking whack. And if it's not obvious by the list I just shared with you, I'm not living the whole frat boy college life. I've never been that type of guy, and I probably never will, and in my opinion, for the best. Doing things like drinking and going to parties just to end up in someone's bedroom who you don't even really know, it just sounds like a stupid way of living. I mean, why party when I got the party in here, am I right? Schoolwork. The schoolwork in college for me has been no joke, as is for probably everyone else. Unless you're just that one kid who's just good at everything from the jump. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Jade. I'm looking at you, Jade. Jade. You perfect bastard. Just kidding, Jade. If you're seeing this, I love you and I hope you're doing well. I already talked about how damn wrong I was with my expectations with college. I love some of the classes I take, but others, not so much. My favorite class I have right now is my theater class and my philosophy class. I like my theater class because I just have a thing for acting. The theater class, I came into my theater class thinking that this was going to be an acting class, but it wasn't. But I still enjoy it because we still did a bit of acting in it, and I have fun with my classes. That's the difference between my classes and this theater class. Is like some of my other classes, I don't have any fun while I'm doing the work, which I guess I'm not really supposed to have fun, but my theater class it's a good mental break for all the other school shit I have to do. For my philosophy class, I just really like learning about morals and whatnot, and my teacher is amazing. He makes the class seem more engaging, and I really like that. Other classes are meh. They just kind of suck and stress me out a whole lot, and the amount of all-nighters I had to pull just to do the schoolwork so I can relax on the weekends just to find out there was another assignment that I forgot about. All the while my mental health is just singing to shit, and I'm slowly getting drained, and it's like too much to handle. Yeah, this is life. I strive for good grades, or at least I try my best for them, but it's kind of hard to maintain it all with juggling a whole lot of other shit while trying not to half-ass some things because you're tired. Recently, I've had 2 presentations for my public speaking class. One I felt like I did pretty good on, and the other I felt like I did terrible on. I'll put my 2 presentations at the end of the video if I could find them, just so you guys could get the better product of what was supposed to be originally. While I'm doing this hard-ass schoolwork, I tend to lose my train of focus, and I start to question why I'm doing this in the first place. Why am I choosing to stress? Why am I choosing to lose sleep? Why am I choosing to keep going through it even though it hurts? Well, the answer is probably the same for everyone who's going to college or in general, and that is that there's an end goal, and hopefully one day it would all pay off. I love that narrative, but at the same time, the thoughts just still kind of eat at me. I used to tell myself that I kept a quote from David Goggin in my head that said, "What if?" Well, what if what? You stopped today, but what if the day you were waiting for was tomorrow? There's what you want in front of you, but what if what you need is right next to you? You found out your newborn child has autism and you think about leaving him or her behind because of it, but what if you stay in their life? Last one was a bit odd, but let's just go with it. I love what if, but I realize that it doesn't have the same effect on me. Or, to be honest, nowadays I'm wondering if it ever did. I'm not really motivated to do my schoolwork all the time. It's just the fact that there's an opportunity cost from not doing it. If I do my schoolwork, study, and do well in classes, then my grade goes up. But really thinking about it now, I guess you could say opportunity cost is my motivation. I've seen people say online back when I was in high school that they hate school and it was pointless and stupid and stressful. I personally didn't agree with that back then. In fact, I thought people who said that were just corny. I've never really had those types of experiences where I was saying like, holy shit, this schoolwork is pointless. When am I going to use this in the real world? I could maybe name like 1 or 2 times where I felt like I couldn't take high school anymore, but that's really it. I still don't feel like school is a waste of time, but I do understand more of what or where those people were coming from. Also, just a side note, have you like ever had a subject in school that you used to love, but then like as you progressed in it, you just started to hate that shit because it started to drag on, like it started to get becomes such a fucking drag. Well, I got one. And it's math. Let me fucking tell you, I hate math. I hate math. I hate it. I hate math, okay? I fucking hate it. I 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 hate it so fucking badly. Schoolwork! Alright! Thanks, Sonic. No problem. Yes, before you judge me, I am a Sonic the Hedgehog fan. Fuck you, okay? Fuck you. I like Sonic. Yeah, I'm a nerd. I say, you know what? I got something for you. I also had Dr. Eggman too. And if you're asking why I brought them to college, fuck you. Okay, fuck you. Personal life. I mentioned it so many times before in the video to the point where having a personal life segment of the video is probably not important anymore. As I said before, my personal life has gone to shambles. Well, actually, that's a lie. It's been in shambles for a while now, like way before this college shit. Dating all the way back to ancient civilization. Damn, bro, not that far. Before college, I didn't do much but just stay inside the house because that was just who I was. I didn't like going out. Definitely didn't like doing things like partying and drinking or smoking. Those stuff was just a no-no to me. Like I don't fuck with it at all. I didn't like going out. I'm still not into those things. People call it boring, but I call it smart and safe, I guess. I don't got anything against it. It's just that getting drunk and getting crazy to the point where you don't even know what you're doing anymore is stupid, in my opinion. I also do get the aspect of smoking weed because it's a stress reliever. I had friends in high school who smoked weed, and I also have a friend named Zach who I remembered said that he was talking to one of our teachers about smoking weed, and first, not saying the teacher smoked weed, she definitely didn't, but she understood it. She understood why people did it, at least for the stress relieving part. A lot of people here in college act like they're not somebody's kid, and that to me is kind of weird. I mean, have you seen the shit they be drinking at them frat parties? Especially how they be drinking it, like through those long ass tube things. Yeah, no thanks. Especially the girls in college. I'm sorry, but these girls just have no self-respect whatsoever. The girls in my school literally go out wearing underwear and have their ass out and shit. And when they go out partying, believe me, they go out partying. Cowboy boots, ass tight jean shorts, nothing but a bra on. Like, damn, y'all really couldn't wait to get in college. Which is understandable for the most part. It's your first time in your life without your parents, but still, some of y'all just forgot that you're somebody's daughter. I was having a conversation with a friend named Emily, and Emily she's a nice girl. She's pretty cool, and she was telling me that her parents didn't want her to live on dorms for that very reason. Well, not that very reason exactly. She said that her parents didn't want her to live on dorms because they were afraid that she was going to be slutting. Like I kid you not, she said they were afraid that she was going to be slutting, which is understandable. Very understandable. Very understandable. I mean, when it comes down to it, y'all could do y'all, but my daughter isn't staying on no college dorms. Y'all stay safe, though. That lifestyle and the traits that come with that lifestyle is so normalized. Sorry, Sonic, but you were scaring the hoes, so you gotta go. Actually, no, Sonic gets hoes, okay? Sonic is cool as fuck. I don't give a damn about what anybody says. He's coming back, actually. Good show. As he should. As he should. I stand by you can't turn a party girl into a wife, and I will always stand by that. I've always been a homebody. It's just who I am. Again, people call it boring, but I call it me. So I guess I'm boring, but I'm okay with that. I'm going out a little more now. I found interest in a gym on my campus, and I've been going frequently, I would say. I'm getting better at getting out. I'm constantly telling myself that I need to get out the dorm room more, and I'm wanting to go to the gym more. Like, I've built that hunger to go to the gym. So yeah, I'm pretty set. I also go on walks sometimes as well. But still, majority of the time, you'll still find me in my dorm room. Honestly, I don't have much to say for this small little piece of the video from my personal life. I'm boring, I'll admit it, but like I said before, I'm okay with that. Relationships! I know the people across the hall think I'm fucking crazy as hell. Relationships that take up your time, ease the stress of your miserable life, and make you feel happy. Sometimes sad, sometimes happy and sad, sometimes drained. But without these relationships, college would just kind of suck. And I'll admit it, as a person who has 0 relationships, meaning 0 friends and 0 extrovert skills, then I could say that this shit kind of hurts. Well, to some people, other people find it fun and peaceful to be alone, in which, yeah, that's true, but those are usually people who had a lot of dramas in their friendships and don't really want to talk to people anymore. I, on the other hand, want friends, and yeah, I get it's peaceful to be alone, but I really just want one. That's literally all I need, and all I really long for is just that one person to come in my life and just make everything so much better. I've had friends before, but they all kind of just didn't work out. And since all those relationships failed, I decided to just come up with a narrative that I'm allergic to relationships. And really, all those relationships ended most of the time because of me, and I'm not blind to admitting that. I know when I'm wrong, and for the better part of my relationships, they've ended because of me, or of me being in the wrong. Sure, there's some relationships that I wish lasted more than others, and there's some relationships that I think about all the time, but I try to stay to say to myself that it is what it is. As of writing this script right now, I had like 2 friends in college who just fell out. One relationship I cared about a lot, and the other one I also cared about, but it was way easier to just let go of it. But it still hurts nonetheless. Again, it was my fault why they ended, but I guess that's just how it goes for me. One thing I question a lot about my life is if love is still living in it anymore. I question that a lot for some reason, and that's probably not a smart thing to do, especially at my age. I mean, why is an 18-year-old boy questioning his love in his life anymore? It seems like a wacky ass thing to do, but for me it's valid. I finally feel like I get love in my life, but then I go and fuck it up. Then I start questioning things like, is it love or is it what I believe is love? And if it isn't love, then why does it hurt so bad? I don't know. Maybe I'm just paranoid or crazy or just desperate. The first friend I had in college was amazing. I was happy in our relationship, and even though we aren't still friends, I still have like videos of me and them on my phone hanging out. It doesn't hurt to watch those videos anymore, but I still get that weird spike in my heart when I see her in school walking or talking with other people, wishing that it was me. Heart. They were the first friend I had in months, and it was everything I could ever ask for, so I tried to fight for it, the relationship, but it didn't work out. It was my fault, and I accept that even though it hurts. I always told myself that I was allergic to relationships because it's payback. Payback for what, you may ask? Well, back in my middle school years and less than half of my high school years, I was a bully. That's something I'm not proud of, and those things I did now just always come back to me, whether it be in my head or when I'm alone or whenever I'm feeling happy for a change. The thoughts of me being a bully always come back to me, and it's to the point where I really just can't escape it. Literally at random, I would get these thoughts of me being a bully to these people, and I hate it because I'm trapped and I'm stuck with them now. I feel like everything I'm going through now is because of what I did in my past. In middle school, there was a girl named Danielle, and she was one of the girls I bullied. I don't know or remember too much on why I did it. All I know is that I just didn't like her at the time. I thought she was a user. I had this favorite teacher, and we both had that teacher, and I loved her. I loved that teacher so much, and she was just the perfect person in my opinion. My earliest take on why I remember bullying Danielle is because I saw her as greedy, and I thought she was using that teacher to get her way, and I just didn't like that. I thought Danielle was greedy, self-centered, and selfish, and that's ultimately just why I did it. Nothing like physical or anything. It was more of just verbal bullying, but I know it was still hurting her. Even now, as I typed the script, I could just picture her sad expression on her face as I just talked bad to her. I was a kid, and kids do stupid things, but still, even if I was a kid who did this probably like 6 or 7 years ago, it, for some reason, still hurts today. I'm trapped with these thoughts now, and I can't help but feel that literally every relationship issue I had was payback for that. Like there's something always following me saying you're not allowed to be happy. You remember how you treated that girl? You think you deserve love? I know I made that girl feel like shit, and if I could take it back, I would, like a million times over. Another girl that I would say I bullied, but not really, but I guess looking back at it, I would kind of consider it as bullying, is a girl named Shayla. Now let me tell you about Shayla. Shayla was supposed to be my life for real, you know what I mean? Literally the only reason why we didn't work out was because I was putting on a persona instead of being myself. Like literally, I will always stand by this. Look, I don't give a damn what nobody else says. If I would have been myself, Shayla, she would have been mine. I'm not trying to gas myself up or anything. I'm just saying. Shayla, ooh, nigga. Shayla would have been mine. When I think about Shayla, I just want to start venting about her. Shayla was so fucking perfect. She was like amazing. She was amazing. Like, oh, and her smile. It's not a lie that me and Shayla's canon event is us getting married, but Miles Morales came down and fucked everything up because we're not even close to making that shit happen. And like, as in, I don't even have contact with her. Oh well, maybe in another universe. I treated Shayla poorly, I want to say. I definitely don't want to say badly, but I want to say poorly. It definitely wasn't the ideal way of treating the girl that you wanted. There's 2 times I felt like I just fucked up the most with her. One is a time where we were playing Minecraft and she was trying to play the game, but I was clowning around and started hitting her in the game, and she got upset and then she wanted to just go and leave the call and go to sleep. And you could tell by her voice that she wasn't happy. She was sad, and it even sounded like she wanted to cry. And me being the emotionally unintelligent kid I was, I didn't notice until sometime after we stopped talking to realize that I probably made her cry that day. Another time is when we were in school, and this time will forever give me the ick, because just thinking about this moment that goes on loop in my mind and in my head just disgusts me. Like, it disgusts me that I ever just did this to her, and it's disgusting. And it's a time where we were in school and we were talking about something. It might have been something I disagreed with. I don't know. It might have been an argument, and I told her to suck my dick. Like, it was disrespectful. I told her to suck my dick. And yeah, it's disgusting. It was disrespectful and nasty, and I really can't ever forgive myself for it, ever. Just thinking about that moment just makes me cringe so much, because now as I'm looking back at myself, I look at the character I portrayed. It was nasty. It was the nastiest thing I've ever said to anybody in my life, and I don't even know why I would do or say anything like that. That was so nasty of me. And I look at this boy with disgust and just a whole lot of disgust, because where was his respect at? I just said that to Shayla. Shayla, like, oh my fucking God, what was I thinking? Shayla, it was Shayla who I said that to. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? It was Shayla who I said that to. Like, oh my fuck, I gotta sit down. I was you can call me the biggest dumbass in the world back then. And right now I would agree, because I said that to Shayla. And I know that other people around me who heard me say it probably thought I was the most disrespectful piece of shit in the world, because at that point I would say the same fucking shit too. I was probably the most disrespectful piece of shit in the world, and honestly, rightfully so. I tried to apologize to both of them. I sent a message to Danielle through a friend we shared, and we made up. Kind of. We definitely talked, but she didn't say she forgave me or anything, any of that, which is something I'm not mad at. She has no right to forgive me, and I probably wouldn't have forgave me either. And then there's Shayla, who this was kind of recent, but I tried to reach out to her on Instagram and apologize. I followed her and she followed me back, and I sent her a long paragraph and she saw it, but she didn't respond, which is fine because in the apology I told her she didn't have to respond. She actually just removed me and whatnot, which I'm kind of upset about. I definitely was hoping for another chance with her to make things right and to show her the real me and the person I've become, but I didn't get that chance, which is, again, understandable. I don't ever expect to be forgiven. It wasn't right what I had done to those girls or how I made them feel. And if not being able to find love or a single friendship is punishment for how I made people feel in the past, then I'll accept it because I feel like I deserve it. I changed myself for the better. I try to be more nicer because I feel like that's the way to go. I love being nice and kind to people because it's who I am now, and I love that narrative about myself. I love who I've become, even if I'm tired, even if I'm still paying back what I owe, even if I feel like I'm alone and there's nobody who cares. I love who I am now. And I would always choose this person over the person who made people cry. The person who made Danielle feel like shit. The person who missed out on the girl who he had dreamed a future of because he wanted to seem cool for her. Now, I'd rather feel lonely with a smile, feeling like I'm never doing enough, not kind enough, not smiling enough for, rather than being that person again. This is just a little extra part I wanted to add into the end of the video. It's not really that important, but it's an experience that I wanted to share. So the other day I was walking to get something to eat in campus, and we have these buffets, and it comes with a little variety of food, and I saw this girl. She had on gray sweatpants and a light blue top, and she had blonde hair. She was on the phone, and it looked like she was venting or just crying to the person she was on the phone with. I wanted to talk to her so badly. I don't know why, but I felt like I was supposed to talk to her, and I was thinking about it, and I wanted to, but I just didn't. I walked away, but I constantly looked back. I looked back about like 3 or 4 times, and I was contemplating each time I looked back. Maybe she needed someone to talk to, or someone to take stress off from her shoulders, or maybe she just needed a hug. I even thought of these scenarios that could play off in my head if I did talk to her. One of the scenarios was her not wanting to talk to me at all and her just brushing me off, and the other one is one where I actually got to talk to her. I guess I let the first scenario kind of steer me away, but at the same time, that's not entirely true either. I don't know why I didn't talk to her, and I'm kind of disappointed in myself for not talking to her. I had a teacher back in like 2020. Well, he wasn't my teacher, but he was a teacher that I loved. He was definitely a guy full of wisdom, and I look up to him. I love him. He's amazing. I love this teacher. He's fucking amazing. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I remember that he told me, if you make someone smile, you've done your job for the day, and that has always stayed in my mind ever since he told me it. Looking back at the girl with the gray sweatpants and the light blue top, I feel like I should have said something about it. I think a lot of people have these experiences where they see something happen and they want to help, but they don't do anything, and it just eats at them. That's another thing I don't like about myself. I would say I'm someone of action. Like if I see wrong, then I'll want to stop it. But the problem with me is that sometimes I just don't do anything. I remember seeing this homeless Indian woman outside of Walmart. She was asking people for help with her family, and I know some people are skeptical of those situations, but I just had a gut feeling that she was telling the truth and she was being genuine. She was a mom who was struggling, and I feel for that. She wanted help, and I didn't have anything to help her with, and I just felt bad. She asked for help, and all I did was say, "I'm sorry," under my breath while walking past her. It sucks, but there was really nothing I could have done at the time. I had no money, and I was there with my dad. A part of me was hoping that he would help them, but he didn't. And honestly, he just ignored her and walked past her like everyone else was doing. Well, why didn't you ask him for help? My dad is one of those dads that take everything way too seriously, to the point where you can't even crack jokes with him. And I wasn't trying to have him scold me just because I wanted to help out somebody I didn't even know. I wasn't able to help her that day, but I hope her and her family is doing all right. I really do. I thought about the gray sweatpants girl with the light blue top a lot that day, to the point where I even wrote a scenario where I actually took a leap to talk to her. I'm not going to share that scenario this video, but I will share it in a future video. It'll be at a random time though. It might be at the end of a video or in the beginning of a video. It's going to be at a random time, but the story will be there. It might seem a little bit weird that I wrote a scenario about me talking to that girl, but I like writing, and I just thought that it would be a good narrative to talk about. It's something short, but it was eating at me. Now, as promised, here's the presentations from my public speaking class, starting off with the first one, the one I did good off, and then I'm going to show off the one I did horrible on. Now, for context, for the first speech, it was a practice speech that we had to choose from a couple topics to do, and I chose the topic of influential people in a person's life. And for the second one, which was a tell a speech story, it was where we had to tell a story about something, and I chose to write and make my own story about a little bird with broken wings named Lola. Let me ask you a question, and when I ask you this question, I want you to think of it and lock your answer in your brain. Who is the most influential person in your life? That's a common question that you've probably been asked a lot throughout your years of schooling. To some, it might be your mother. To others, maybe your father. And maybe it's that one friend that you don't really get to see anymore, but you love all the same. Maybe it's that one influencer who keeps on popping up on your For You page telling you to never give up on your passion. Or maybe, just maybe, that influential thing isn't even a person at all. Maybe that influential thing that you hold dear to you is a gift that you got on your 7th birthday, or that one gift that your grandpa or grandma gave to you that you're still holding on to this very day. The thing is, there's many things that we as people find influential, whether it be human or not. What you say and what you do is influential to not just yourself, but to the people around you as well. Sometimes we say or do mean things not thinking of the influence you just made. Maybe your words had such an impactful influence on someone that it made them want to hurt themselves. Sad truth, people, but your words hurt. Your influence is anywhere and everywhere. Maybe you saw an Instagram post about a girl talking about a life experience, but instead of opening up the comments to see things said about the video, your Facebook comments about her weight and what she looks like and what she has on, and then all of a sudden you find yourself scrolling and getting more engaged with these comments because maybe you found these comments funny, and out of nowhere you start typing. You start typing about her weight. You start typing about what she has on and what she looks like. These comments had such a strong influence on you, but now your comment had an even stronger influence on the girl. Now she's crying in her room, contemplating about what she did wrong. I mean, the video was only about how her day was. How did it shift that badly? She doesn't want to eat. She locks herself in her room and starts to think there's something wrong with her. She starts to harm herself, bashing herself even because of what you said. Maybe she even thinks about suicide. Your influence on people could hurt them and affect them in the most unimaginable ways possible, and you wouldn't even know because you made a joke of it. The most influential person in my life goes all the way back to when I was a kid, more specifically during my elementary school days. My childhood was, in my opinion, rocky. My mom was a single mother in college, and if you know anything about that, then the overall idea of it is that it's hard. And it was especially hard for her because I had siblings as well. With that type of burden on her, it was easy for her to get stressed out and emotional about things. It was hard, and me and her would constantly get into arguments. I would say that it was even harder at the time to really look at her as a mom. At that point of time, I didn't even know what a mom was or what it meant to have a mom. That was until I met a woman named Jennifer Lindsay, but out of respect, I call her Miss Lindsay. Miss Lindsay was a child study team worker at the elementary school I went to, and I was assigned to her the first day I came to the school. She introduced herself to a 6-year-old boy who was already not having the best time at home, and she understood it. After we first met, I constantly went to go see her because it was just so fun to talk to her, and after a while we began to build this amazing relationship that I still admire to this day because it was the first time I ever really felt what a mother-son bond could be like. Suddenly the arguments I had with my mom and the words exchanged between me and her didn't matter anymore because when I was with Miss Lindsay, it all went away. Every problem and every tear shed that I had given suddenly was forgotten about when I was with her. And to a 6-year-old boy who wasn't able to feel that before, it was the best thing that could ever happen to me. The words she would say and the things she would do made me feel loved in so many ways, to the point where her influence was the only thing I had that was keeping me from just being sad all the time. She saved me, if you will. Just the thought of her brought me so much happiness that it seemed unreal. Her influence in my life was the best thing that's ever happened to me. She showed me what it felt like to have a mom, and at one point I was even jealous of her kids because I just felt like she was the best mom in the world. I remember this time in 2nd grade when parents showed up in class for something. I don't remember what it was, but everyone had their parents there, and as you can imagine, my mom didn't show up. I remember feeling lonely and left out because seeing everyone with their parents and being one of the only kids who didn't have their mom or dad with them just kind of stung. But even though my mom didn't show up, Miss Lindsay did, and it was beautiful. She showed up as my mom, and I was no longer left out. At that point in time, I felt like my mom was there, and even though she didn't give birth to me, it still felt right in that moment just to call her my mom. She was my mom, and having her in my life was the best thing that could ever happen to me. I will never forget that day, mostly because it's the first time I told her I love her and that she was the best mom in the world. I know I said it before, but I'll gladly say it again. Her influence on this small 6-year-old little boy changed his life forever and even gave him a new hope. This isn't just to crap on my mom. In fact, I love my mom to death, and she's one of my biggest inspirations in my life because she, for me, is the embodiment of hard work pays off. Because throughout the pain and all the struggles and crying she's done, she's come a long way from where we were in the beginning, and in my opinion, it's amazing. Miss Lindsay's influence on me as a kid showed me that you never know what you could do to someone by just being there or showing a simple kind gesture, or maybe even just a compliment. Those simple things could have such a positive influence on people that it could change their life for the better. Now, before I wrap up my speech, I want to take you back in time. I want to take you back to the girl's post. You're scrolling through the comments, seeing all this negativity, but instead of being influenced by other people's words and the harmful jokes that are being said, you decide to share that same love that was shared to you by that positive influence you have. Maybe that influence is your mom or your dad or that distant friend that you don't get to see anymore, but you still love all the same. Maybe that influence isn't even a person, but rather an item that you hold dear to your heart. Or maybe, just maybe, your influence is your own Miss Lindsay. You start typing in the comments, sharing your thoughts on the video and saying what you loved about it and how you loved how she spoke so passionately about her day and how she's full of energy and love and how you really love that about her. And you upload that comment. Now, there's still hundreds, maybe even thousands of people making these jokes about her, and she sees it all, but she also sees your comment. A comment that wasn't influenced by the hate that people could give off, but rather influenced by the love that you were shown by that influence that meant so much to you. She's crying, but not for the same reason she was before, but because your influence did something to her. It made her feel happy that there were people like you out there. It made her feel loved to the point where she will always remember your comment. Your influence is a light that only you can control, a light that starts out small but gets bigger and bigger over time the more you share it. So with that being said, I'll ask you again, who is the most influential person in your life? Thank you. Today, for my tele-speech story, I decided to write a narrative about a bird, and the inspiration for this story came from one of my favorite video game characters of all time, and a quote he says that shares the narrative that it takes more than just flapping your wings to fly. The story I'm about to share is a fictional story, really just catering more towards kids in preschool, but even though it's childish, it still holds a meaning to my outtake of the speech. Once upon a time, there was a little bird named Lola, and Lola was born with broken wings and a smaller figure, which was kind of difficult for a bird, but ultimately difficult for our little friend Lola because he couldn't do what other birds could do. If there was one thing that Lola loved in the whole world, it was going to bird race events and watching other birds fly and race each other for the fastest bird medal. Lola had always dreamed of competing for the bird medal. He had wanted to be like his idol, Barry the bird, who was the fastest bird alive. But Lolo always forced himself to sit in the crowd with his mom while watching the races. He believed that he could never join the competitions because he told himself and felt that he wasn't a real bird. That never stopped Lolo from practicing, though. He would often practice by himself alone. He also quickly found out that since he couldn't fly, he had to find another way to navigate, so his practice consisted of him hopping. One day at a competition, Lolo was in the crowd, as always, having to watch from afar with his mom. But Lola's mom noticed that he was visibly upset at something. Lola was tired of sitting back and watching. He wanted to race. He wanted to be out there and compete. He wanted to live. "What's wrong?" the mom asked. Lola looked at his mom and explained to her that he wanted to race. He explained that he was tired of being on the bench watching everyone else live his dream. He explained that even if he went out there and lost, he would still be happier doing that than just watching. Lola's mom looked at him with a confused expression. "Well, why don't you just do it?" Of course, it was easy to say, but to do it is another thing. The words that his mom told him lingered in his head, though, because when those words came out, it was the first time Lola opened up and actually watched the races with not only his eyes, but his mind too. And when he did that, he quickly noticed that his own speed wasn't too far off from these racers. In fact, the only noticeable difference was that they were flying. And with that, he started practicing harder and harder like he had never done before. He trained for weeks. He often struggled, though, and second-guessed himself a lot, but he pushed through those thoughts. He trained hard and hopped faster and faster by each day until it was finally time, until the day of the race was finally here. As he approached the starting line, he could feel his little heart pounding through his chest fast. As he was lined up at the starting line, he noticed his favorite racer, Barry, there as well. Seeing him there, Lola felt like he had a lot to live up to for this race. Now, he wanted to win more than anything in the world. As the racers started to get ready, Lola heard the heart-provoking countdown, and on the words "go," the racers were off. All the birds flew off in the sky, but unlike them, Lola started hopping. Some of the racers were confused on why he wasn't flying, but it didn't stop Lola from making quick work of the competition. Nothing was stopping Lola from reaching his goal. 6th, 5th, no 4th place were quickly taken by him, leaving the racers confused on how a bird who's not even flying just passed them so easily. Lola was getting tired, but he didn't let that stop him. He hopped faster until he saw 3 ahead of him, and that's when he really felt like this was his game. This was his competition. He was made for this race, and he wasn't going to let 4th place be where he ends it off. He needed more speed. He needed to hop faster, the fastest he's ever hopped in his life, reaching 3rd place and quickly taking 2nd shortly after. Waiting for him in 1st place was his idol, Barry the bird. He wanted to beat him. No, he needed to beat him. He strived for 1st. He could feel it in the palm of his little feet. He grew tired and felt like he couldn't take it anymore, but he still kept going. It wasn't over, and it wouldn't be over until he had won. But he had heard the words that would shatter him the most. Barry Allen has won the race. And as he heard those words, he finished the race in 2nd place. He had never felt so bad in his life. For some reason, 2nd place hurt the most to him. He felt like he had a lot to live up to, and it was just gone. The crowd started cheering, but Lola's mind was elsewhere. He tried to walk away in shame, but all of a sudden he heard his name being called out from the crowd. Chants of Lola started playing throughout the crowd of birds, and Lola was shocked. Why were they cheering for him? He didn't even win. He didn't understand until he heard the crowd talking about how fast he was going just by hopping. Lola was the first bird with no wings to ever compete with such a disadvantage and still beat out the competition. And from there, he finally understood why the crowd was in awe with him. He realized that even without wings, with a little struggle, passion, and dedication, you and anybody else who sets their mind to it can still fly. That's it. Thank you for watching.